Hello, my name is Mike Ward. I'm the Global Director of Content at Scrip, Pink Sheet and InVivo. I'm here at the Biotech Showcase 2018, a meeting that runs parallel with the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, which is the traditional kick-off meeting for the pharmaceutical, biotech, industries and also investors who are keen in that space. So it's an opportunity where they all get together to sort of discuss some of the key issues that are facing the industry, but also an opportunity of where they can actually work out how they can work together. I'm joined by Jim Phillips, who's the CEO of a specialty pharmaceutical company called Midatech, based in Oxford in the UK. So Jim, thanks very much for joining us. The JP Morgan analysts in their sort of the documentation they provided associated with the meeting actually was describing the sort of specialty pharmaceutical area as actually quite challenging. And I was just wondering, whether you could sort of, give us your thoughts on that observation.
Specialty pharmaceuticals is a particular area within the industry, and it's been an area of strong growth in the last 10 years,
sure.
And a lot of successful businesses built in that direction. I think what we just see now is there's congestion. There's
Right.
many companies in the space, many in oncology such as mine, which are all working to grow specialty businesses in that area. And so it's harder as a spec farm to get share of voice, to get fast growth as we all want when you're in spec farm, and to find the right products to bring through to market that are differentiated enough to maintain independence and grow a business.
Right. So how do you sort of differentiate? So how do you get yourself above the noise around the sort of specialty pharma space?
Well, in our case, we have our own portfolio of R&D projects based on two platform technologies, and that allows us to create differentiated products. So to give an example, we have an ultra-orphan product for a rare children's brain tumour going into what we hope will be a single, quite long clinical trial here in the US, which is about to start. And that uses a technology to enable us to treat a tumour in a way that's not possible until now.
Could you describe that technology platform, how it works?
Yeah, so that uses what we call a nano-inclusion technology, so we can make totally insoluble drugs, give them into a soluble form that can be infused directly around the tumour. So we use a Novartis product called panobinostat, which we licensed in from them a year ago, so it's an approved product. We wrap our technology around it, and then we create something that can be infused directly to the tumour. Not possible until now. So it's those kind of USPs that differentiate, that allow you to try and stay ahead of the game in terms of being able to differentiate.
Right, and can you describe sort of the clinical program for that? What sort of stage and what are you actually hoping to achieve in this particular
That program has been in compassionate use, so it's been in patients already, and we're just waiting for an IND approval here in the US to run a study which has two parts to it. The first part is essentially finding the most efficacious, safe dose to use, and then that is put into a second, what you might call a phase 2 efficacy study. But because it's a rare condition, about 1,000 children a year get this, it's powered for 24 patients, and if the results as we hope they might be, then that could be enough to get an accelerated or conditional approval.
Right. So that's one program, and then you sort of say you have another sort of technology platform. Is that generating some of the other R&D programs?
Yeah, so in total the company has 3 different diverse platforms, and our lead program uses a print technology, so we use piezo actuators, which are used in inkjet printers.
Right, okay.
And we print controlled release particles. The difference being compared to old technologies is that you computer control it, so the particles are pinpoint, everyone's the same. So we dial in the dissolution rate of the drug, 30 days in the case of our Q-Optrio product, and you bring to market relatively rapidly, that's using a 505(b)(2) route, a product that we hope is biosimilar to, in this case, Novartis' Sandostatin LAR, but which is simpler to use because of the manufacturing advantages we've gained using our technology.
So what do you have to show to the regulators?
So that's bioequivalence or therapeutic equivalence.
Okay.
And again, we've just had clinical trial approval was announced this morning in Europe to run what could be, should the results show good bioequivalence, could be a registration study.
And which indication is that in?
That's for acromegaly and for neuroendocrine tumours, carcinoid syndrome, so 2 indications.
Okay. And the third platform?
Third platform is a nanotechnology, which is the original platform that Midatech was started on in 2001.
Okay.
And we use gold atoms, small numbers of gold atoms, to create nanometric-sized drug conjugates.
Right.
And these are around 5 nanometers in size, which is ultra small. And what we do is we plug around them the gold core sugars, which pacify it, keep it contained, and then we use sulfur bonds and plug in chemotherapy and targeting agents. So our lead program is hepatocellular carcinoma, again poorly treated cancer currently. And we use a very simplistic targeting approach. So we use lactose as a sugar coating around our particle, takes that product to the liver. And then we plug in the chemo, which is a maytansinoid, and then we look at targeting the liver cell receptors on the HCC cells to take it right to the tumor.
So you're using the platform technologies to develop your own programs. Do you have any plans, or are you already sort of licensing that technology to others so they could use that technology for their own programs?
We have some experience of doing that. So we have a deal with a company called Emergex in vaccines. So they're using the nanotechnology to create novel vaccine for some of the rare and tropical diseases. With our print technology, we're at a phase where we've worked with a few companies, and we're now going through getting our own first product through to market, and then we expect partners to come to us.
Okay. Now, so those 3 R&D programs are, sort of they're emerging. Is the intention as a specialty pharmaceutical company to commercialize them yourselves, or again, would you look for partners for those programs?
So the first 2, which are close to market, we're planning to take to market ourselves, and to that end, we have a US commercial arm.
Right.
So we have a sales force here in the US with 20 people in the field. It's selling into oncologists and radio-oncologists, which are the targets that we need for our products in the future. So we already have a stable commercial base, which is growing around 50% a year in revenue terms, based on licensed-in products. And that gives us the leverage to gain the most return on our own assets.
And are they also ultra-orphan oncology programs?
There's a mix there. There's a therapeutic and 3 supportive care products. So the portfolio mix will change over time as we introduce our own products. But what we have is access to the right prescribing physicians, the hospital groups, the specialty pharmaceutical companies that we need to get into market.
So you're kind of cutting your teeth on those programs to then allow your own proprietary programs to come.
And that part of our business is now just about reaching break even. So it's standing on its own feet, which means that it's relatively easy for us to then expand it and fine tune it for our own launches.
So the 4 products you've got, you said you in-licensed them from?
Yeah. So, one is a product called Zuplenz, which is for chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. It came from an American company, and it's one of our lead growth products. Second one is licensed from Helsinn, the Swiss company.
Okay.
And it's for oral mucositis associated with radiochemotherapy. So they're the 2 big growth drivers in our current revenue. And we're continually looking at other opportunities to add to that to drive the whole company to profitability.
And how are you able to finance the sort of the development of the R&D programs?
So we're publicly listed in London and secondary listing on NASDAQ. And most recently, in the last quarter of last year, we did in dollar terms around $8.5 million equity raise, and then a $15 million debt financing with MidCap. So we've raised in the last 3 months, nearly $25 million, and that gives us the firepower to get through pivotal results. We've got a lot of results coming out of clinical studies this year.
Okay, so it's what, runway for just this year, or?
We're funded through into 2019.
Right.
and we're looking to then be investing to the launch of the new products.
Right, okay. So this, as I mentioned in the introduction, this meeting's pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, and also investors. So who is it that you're trying to bend the ear of?
We do a mix here, so we do business development. So for some of our products we need partners. It may be ex-US, it may be even within the US to help us in an area where we don't have focus. So a lot of it is BD, traditional BD. We meet with investors because we have a NASDAQ listing and a London listing. And we're always also looking at potential product acquisitions to enhance our current portfolio.
And they would they be ultra orphan oncology
They need
products?
to be on our call points. So they need to be in the oncology space, call points, radio, and chemo oncologists, and to give us a better portfolio mix. So a couple of our products quite old and do only $1 million or $2 million a year.
Yeah.
We'd love to swap those for products that are doing 5 to 10 to 20 million a year as we go forward.
Okay, well, Jim, thanks very much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Cheers.